Hi everyone, I'm Misbah. Welcome back to another video. So the weather has turned colder and there is a real feel of autumn now. And in October, I always enjoy reading gothic horror novels or ghost stories, and it's a good build up to Halloween. And this week I've reread The Woman in Black by Susan Hill. And this does have the feel of a good old-fashioned Victorian ghost story. It's the story of a young solicitor's clerk called Arthur Kipps. And he's sent from his firm in London to a small seaside town to attend the funeral of a client, Mrs. Alice Drabble. And she lived in this mysterious house called Eel Marsh House. And at the funeral, Arthur Kipps sees a young woman who has this pale, emaciated face, and she's dressed in black. And when he looks at her, he gets this feeling of dread and this feeling of foreboding. When he speaks to the people in the town, they are suspicious of strangers and outsiders, and they clam up and they won't give any information about who she is. Arthur Kipps has to go and stay at Eel Marsh House overnight because he has to go through all the papers there. And when the tide comes in, the house is totally cut off from the town. So he's on his own in the house. And there he's haunted or stalked by the woman in black. So it's a chilling story, and the atmosphere builds up slowly. And I really like the descriptions and the way that the surroundings are described. I'll just read a few lines. This is when Arthur Kipps first arrives at Eel Marsh House. But I did not go inside. I did not want to, yet a while. I wanted to drink in all the silence and the mysterious shimmering beauty, to smell the strange salt smell that was borne faintly on the wind, to listen for the slightest murmur. I was aware of a heightening of every one of my senses, and conscious that this extraordinary place was imprinting itself on my mind and deep in my imagination too. I also like the way the story is told. It starts with a much older Arthur Kipps, and he's sitting with his family, and they are all sitting by the fireside telling each other ghost stories. And when they turn to him and ask for a ghost story, he reacts really irrationally and gets really upset. And then we hear from him that he does have a story to tell us, but it's actually based on a horrific true event that occurred. And then the book begins. So I enjoyed reading it, The Woman in Black by Susan Hill. Now, I also enjoy savoury, spicy snacks when the weather turns cold, and I'll finish my video by sharing with you a recipe, a simple recipe for onion bhajis, and I hope that you enjoy seeing the video, and I'll see you next time. So this is the simple bhaji recipe. I peeled and chopped into cubes a medium-sized potato, and then I chopped a medium onion. I added 1 cup of chickpea flour and then mixed together. You can add a little water, but remember the onion and potato do release their own water when you are mixing. I added a teaspoon of baking powder. This isn't essential, but it did give the bhajis a fluffy texture. A tablespoon of salt, a tablespoon of coriander powder, a tablespoon of chili powder. These measurements are to my taste. You can add more to make the bhajis hotter or less to make them milder. A tablespoon of cumin powder, Then just a sprinkling of black onion seeds. A secret ingredient, ajwain, which are carom seeds, a tiny pinch of these. Some mustard seeds went in, and then some coriander seeds. Then mix everything really well. So for frying, I used vegetable oil and half filled the frying pan. I always test out by making one bhaji and tasting it to see if the spices are to my taste. You can add more, and if it's too spicy, add more chickpea flour. Some people deep fry the bhajis, but mine work well just shallow frying them. Remove when they are golden brown on both sides and put them on a kitchen towel to drain the oil. Here's my second batch going in. In total, I think the mixture made about 20 bhajis. Obviously, it depends on how big or small you make them. They were really delicious, and the only problem you will have is making sure you don't eat them all in one go. Thanks for watching my recipe. See you next time.